Often mold is down to condensation as a result of poor ventilation in the house. So tenants not opening their windows, or there not being enough extractor fans in the house, right? And as a result, condensation builds up on the walls. And mold is an organism that only tends to grow where there is damp, like permanent long-term damp, and there's no airflow, i.e. ventilation coming through. That is generally most of the time how mold occurs in a house, okay? But that's not only how or why it grows. So it's not always just as simple as improving the ventilation and the mold just goes away by itself over time. In my case, it was more serious, guys. In my case, it was penetrating damp. What is penetrating damp? It's basically, in really simple terms, where moisture from the outside, whether that's rain, usually rain, comes through the walls and ends up on the inside of the house. The damp penetrates the walls, ends up on the inside. The walls on the inside are damp on an ongoing basis, and then you have mold and issues like that. So when it came down to the nuts and bolts of my property in Hull, there were two main factors that were causing the mold in the house. First and foremost, it was the penetrating damp through the walls and in a few different places. And then there was actually an issue with condensation down to poor ventilation. So the tenants weren't opening the windows enough. They were boiling a lot of food, right? And a lot of that moisture doesn't have anywhere to escape, so it's staying in the house and in the walls. So primarily it was down to penetrating damp, but there was also an issue of condensation due to poor ventilation. And we'll talk about how that was fixed beyond just opening the windows more often as we go further into this video. Let's go through the work actually that was actually done, that was required, right? So they needed to repoint bricks in the gable wall. The gable wall is a wall at the end of the property. In fact, I'll put a picture up on screen now to show you what a gable wall looks like, but there was some brickwork that needed repointing. Repointing is basically removing old, crumbled, weathered bricks and putting new bricks in there. I also needed a damp-proof course inside some of the walls in the inner part of the house. They needed to seal some parts of the chimney. There were some gaps around the chimney, around the flue. They needed to replace a gutter. So I had a wooden gutter. Imagine that, a wooden gutter on the outside of the house, and it was basically drenched and rotting. And as a result of that, water was seeping in because the gutter wasn't functioning really, and it wasn't draining water away from the house. So we replaced that with a plastic one. And then also they installed a number of ventilation fans throughout the house. So in the kitchen, bathroom, and also the loft. And the idea behind that is that the moisture that collects inside the house through cooking, showers, boiling your kettle, mopping the floor, drying your clothes, blah, 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 that all gets extracted out of the house and doesn't stay in the house and condense on the walls and cause mold once again. So a lot of work was done, but I am confident that there won't be any issues going forwards. You know, maintaining a house is like maintaining a car to an extent. You know, you buy it, but you are going to have to spend at some point. It's inevitable for the upkeep of the house, okay? Houses aren't just for Christmas, they're forever. So yeah, that is my story of mold and damp once again in a property. Now, I am going to persevere with freehold terraced houses. I'm going to get more extensive surveys done going forwards. I think that's the answer to identify these issues up front. And if there is any issues, either not go ahead or knock some money off of the purchase price to cover the costs of that, because it's no joke, okay? So guys, I hope this video was helpful. Let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks, as always, for supporting this channel and watching. Like, subscribe, send this channel to your friends, because that's how it grows. And I'll see you guys in the next one.